Hey friends, it's Marie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing some Spellbinders dies. Now these dies are from their Kaleidoscope collection, and there's lots of different dies in this collection. I'm going to be sharing these square ones and also these border dies, and later in the video I'll be making a card out of these square dies. So the Kaleidoscope dies are basically dies that layer together, and you can see here on this square that I've already cut, the 3 layers stack together, and you can kind of see each layer peeking through, and it makes a really fun design. So you can cut each layer with a different color of paper, and then all of those colors will come shining through, kind of like a kaleidoscope. So I've showed you that square one here, and here's the border. So there are 3 dies as well as 2 border dies that will cut the thing out. And this first border die will cut out the design onto your paper. It won't cut the whole design out, it'll just make those little windows there. And after you get that cut out, if you want to cut out the whole design, you have these 2 other little dies here that will cut out the bottom or the top. So if you cut them out separately, you can make a little border on the bottom of your paper like this, leaving the rest of it attached. But if you want to cut out the whole border, you can use that top piece and cut that out as well. And then you'll have that whole border cut out. You'll have the single piece that you see here, and you can layer that together. So there's a lot of versatility with this border set, this border die. And I'm not using that on the card today, but I wanted to show you how it works. So I've cut a light blue piece of paper out, and I'm also cutting some of this gold glitter paper. And this is going to be the second layer to layer on top. So the way you can kind of see which die goes where is the bottom layer is always going to be the thickest. You're always going to see more of that. Then the second layer is going to be a little bit smaller, and the top layer is going to be the smallest layer, or it's going to have most of those fine details. Now, since these dies are very detailed, sometimes all of those little paper pieces like to kind of hang inside of the die, and I find my Spellbinders tool-in-one is really great for using that brush end and just poking all of those little pieces out really quickly, and you have this fine die all just popped out of your die, and I think it's a really great tool. So here are those 3 pieces all cut and all layered together. You can see how gorgeous this is. You can just shake up the colors if you want, add a bunch of different colors. I've used some glitter paper to add a little bit of shine there. So there is a lot of different combinations that you can use with these dies. So now that you know how they layer together, I'm going to show you just kind of a really simple card that I did with these square ones. So I've done the bottom and the top layer with black cardstock, and I put some of that gold glitter cardstock on the middle layer. So it's a lot of black and gold, and I thought the black and gold together kind of looks a little bit like the deco art or the art deco style. Maybe not completely, but it reminded me of that. And also all of these squares, I thought it would be fun to arrange them in a more of an interesting shape. So I'm putting them on an angle here. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of my Journey glue, and I'm putting a little bit on the back here. I like that I have that fine tip on my glue so that I can just apply it to the back of all of these little intricate spaces. Now it takes a little bit to get a little bit of glue on all of these little back of the paper, but it really does hold very well. So once you got your glue on there, you can just arrange it. I've arranged my squares before I glued them down just so I could kind of see how I want things to go. Now I'm going to glue down all of these squares, and you will notice that there are some of the squares hanging off the side and some empty spaces, and I'm going to show you how I fix that. But first I want this glue to dry. I want it to be stuck down before I do anything else. So sometimes if I need my glue to dry, it really only takes a few minutes, but putting a stamp block on top of those squares is a great way to keep it down while that glue is drying. So now that my glue is dry, I'm taking a pair of strong scissors. You have to remember that you're cutting through 3 layers of paper here. So I've got a nice long and strong pair of scissors, and I'm trimming the side off of my card where those squares are kind of hanging off. And I'm not getting rid of those pieces that I've trimmed. I'm going to take those, glue them down again and continue this pattern. This is a great way to use those little scraps. You don't have to cut more squares. Just use the scraps that you have, glue them back on, and it's going to look like that pattern is continuing off the paper. Now I did have to cut one more full square because I didn't have enough scraps to fill in this top little triangle here. So I'm just going to go ahead, glue that down, let it stick, and then trim it off again. Now once I have everything trimmed off, I've got my main design with these Kaleidoscope dies done. But I am going to add just a little bit more detail to kind of finish that design. And I know it's a little bit hard to see on my lighting, but the base layer is a light blue. So you get a little bit of blue shining through of that black and that gold, and I think it's a really pretty color combination. Now to kind of finish off my design, I'm taking some small strips of that glitter paper, and this is the same glitter paper that I have used for my kaleidoscope squares, so it's going to coordinate perfectly. And I'm just going to line that bottom edge of the design with this glitter paper, and it's going to kind of finalize my design, kind of finish it off there, and really make another interesting detail on this sort of geometric pattern that I'm using on my card base. So I'm using a little bit more glue, gluing this down. I'm going to trim off the edges, and that's pretty much going to be the card. A lot of this card is just cardstock cut and with the dies and glued down. So there's really no stamping. But for the sentiment, I did take one of the Glimmer plates, and I glimmered the "You Are the Best" sentiment, and I glimmered that in some of that gold foil that has the rainbow shine on it. And I'm going to take some foam squares and just pop it up on the front of my card. And that's going to finish the card. So if you guys like this video, if you like these Kaleidoscope dies, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, tap the bell for notifications, like, comment, share, do all the things, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for stopping by, and have a great day. Bye!